Good evening, folks, and welcome in. I'm meteorologist Ross Mumaw. The latest from the National Hurricane Center here on that once was a yellow glob, now an orange glob. They have since shrunk it up. So over the past several days, you've seen it extended across the Florida Peninsula and even into the eastern Gulf, just off the western coast of Tampa there. But that has now shrunk down primarily off to our east and southeast. So pretty much from Daytona up across the first coast, Savannah, Myrtle Beach, up towards Wilmington, and even the Outer Banks, coastal areas still butting up along this area. So still just a medium 40% chance of development or formation over the next 7 days, primarily starting on Friday and then continuing into your holiday weekend. So at the very least, we could, just see a heavy rainmaker, a very weak low pressure system. At the most, really just looks like a tropical depression possibly forming. I think the likelihood of a tropical storm developing is quite low. I wouldn't say it's zero, but it is low. The chance of a hurricane is pretty much at zero at this point, which is very good news for all of us here in Jacksonville and for everyone along the Atlantic seaboard. So again, still a 40% chance of some level of tropical development here over the holiday weekend, but now no longer over top of Florida, just extending off to our east and northeast here as we head towards the end of the week. Now, what else do we got going on out there? Well, we had plenty of rain and thunderstorm chances this afternoon, continuing now into the evening hours, some of which were enhanced because of the cold front that we've talked about over the last several days. And you pretty much see where that front is at. So pushing on a lot of those thunderstorms across the Carolinas and coastal Virginia. The Delmarva area as well, and then even up into New England behind our banner. That then dips down to the south and southwest, pushing in a little bit of some extra moisture for those storms to try to feed off of. So the storms that we have seen have put out a lot of rain, most of which, though, beginning to rain themselves out. We only have a few isolated thunderstorms left. We'll take a look at them. But first, just zooming into downtown here, still raining a little bit, at least downtown. There's a little bit of some heavier rain, actually pretty much right over top of our First Coast News studios, about to head over into the Arlington area. Some rain further south as well, pretty much from Orange Park straight down Highway 17 through Fleming Island and into Clay County. And then also what once was an isolated thunderstorm near the Durbin and Nocatee area beginning to move offshore here now as well this evening. Our one lone isolated thunderstorm that I mentioned up in the Waycross area, really just to the southeast of Waycross. A lot of lightning actually in this storm. So if you live near that, kind of Brantley and Ware County line, or even southern Pierce County, be mindful. Pretty strong storm here. Again, putting out some heavy rain and a lot of lightning still associated in that storm. So pretty much between Hoboken and Waycross, so on the east sides of Waycross, right there on Highway 82, some heavy rain coming down, some big booms of thunder likely and a lot of lightning in that storm. But over the next couple of hours, I'd say, really by 9 o'clock and even as late as 10, pretty much all of the remaining thunderstorms going to rain themselves out. So dry skies, especially after about 9 tonight, as temperatures only cool down in the mid 70s this evening. So really not a whole lot of cool down or relief considering how muggy we are. So another very muggy start tomorrow morning. And then we're going to start it right back up tomorrow afternoon. Weather impact alert yet again for your Thursday between about 2 and 8 o'clock. That'll be the best window to see not only some rain, but some, widespread thunderstorms, some of which could be on the strong to severe side. I do think we have a slightly better chance to see some stronger thunderstorms tomorrow compared to what we had today. So overall coverage today, many of us saw rain at least at some point throughout the afternoon and evening. Tomorrow, maybe not nearly as much with regard to the overall coverage of rainfall, but we could see some more isolated, stronger storms begin to develop. Some slightly drier air aloft that could allow some stronger updrafts to develop, and in doing so, some then stronger downdrafts when the rain does come down. So wouldn't be surprised if we see some isolated wind gusts upwards of about 40 to 50 miles per hour tomorrow afternoon. The rainfall as well, for those folks who got some heavy rain today or yesterday or even the whole way back into the weekend, even more rain on top of that. That's going to continue to collect over top or, on some already soggy and saturated ground, continuing to keep that localized flooding concern, the flash flooding concern still up there and at top of mind. So that'll still continue to be just something we watch closely throughout the day tomorrow. Temperatures until the rain arrives, though, warming into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. But When could you begin to see some rain? Well, really after lunchtime. It looks like 12:30 to 1 o'clock, you're going to start to see a little bit of some pop-up showers and thunderstorm activity, and then that's expected to continue through the late afternoon and pretty much up until about this time tomorrow night. So that's why we said 2 to 8 o'clock really going to be your best window to see some storms. Areas a little bit further inland and off to our northwest, so inland southeast Georgia, where that current strong thunderstorm is at here tonight, perhaps might have slightly lower rain chances. The rest of us, though, still have a pretty good shot of seeing some heavy downpours tomorrow. So let's time it out. Here's late morning, just before noon tomorrow. Some isolated convection and thunderstorm activity beginning to ignite and fire off down towards the Gulf Coast and the I-75 corridor. So this is pretty similar to what we saw here today. Most of the activity was south of I-10 early in the afternoon. So Alachua County, Marion County, Putnam County, Flagler beginning to see at least a little bit of some thunderstorm activity initially. Then you get into the middle portion of the afternoon, 2:30, 3 o'clock. Sea breeze starts to come in. We'll watch for some more activity or thunderstorm development along that sea breeze right along the coastline. And then it's really only going to move inland about as far as either I-95 or perhaps as far west as Highway 17. So think about it, essentially, it's going to reach the St. Johns River and north and south from there. We're expecting some of the stronger thunderstorms to develop. And then you will notice as the evening wears on, some of these storms begin to rain themselves out a little bit. The overall motion will change from out of the east to west to more so from the north to the south. And you can kind of see it played out. A lot of those storms then begin to drift a little bit further southward. That's primarily due to our steering flow aloft, anywhere from about 1,000 to even 10,000 feet, up in the atmosphere. Those winds going to be slightly more out of the north and northwest. They're not going to be strong, but it'll be enough to push some of those storms further southward tomorrow night. So I say that just so you know that although we could see some thunderstorms, let's say, in Jacksonville, they move out along I-10 into Baker County initially tomorrow, and you might be dry then, let's say in a place like Stark tomorrow evening. Be mindful, some of those storms will work their way back south, so still could have a chance for some rain either, in Bradford County, Putnam, Gainesville even. So just kind of trying to break down a little bit of where some of those storms could move to once they actually do develop. But we've talked about the localized flooding and raining, or heavy rain here that is, very likely throughout the day tomorrow. Weather Prediction Center still does have us in that level 1 out of 4 marginal risk for excessive rainfall here, and continuing to have that level 2 out of 4 slight risk for the Tampa Bay area. So some heavy rainfall on the way. That weather impact alert in effect between 2 and 8 o'clock for your Thursday. Then finally, perhaps many of ours favorite day of the summer, the 4th of July, Independence Day there for your Friday. Yet again, we're going to watch for some afternoon thunderstorms, but the models continue to trend in the right direction with regards to any firework display plans that you might have. Excuse me, before I start to lose my voice here, that you might have on Friday evening. We'll break down a why here in just a second, but I think best rain chances along 95 will be really between about 12 and 5 o'clock on Friday, and then most of those storms will begin to move a little bit further to the west and southwest as you head through the late afternoon into the evening hours, and then finally closer to sunset there Friday night. So let's take a look at what some things are showing. You can actually see this model trying to either show or develop a little bit of that surface low pressure, so that counterclockwise circulation just off of our coast actually by Friday afternoon. But either way, it's going to bring in a little bit more of a northeasterly wind by Friday afternoon. So that's why we could see some thunderstorms pop up closer to the Jacksonville area and I-95 corridor, really between about 12 and 3 o'clock or so. Then that northeast breeze is actually going to move those storms rather quickly. So in contrast to what we had here today and are expecting tomorrow, the storm motion and overall movement of those storms are going to be much quicker. So you might only get a downpour for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then the storm moves away. Today, a little bit of a different story. The rain just kind of sat over in one place and sort of meandered around, followed the outflow boundaries that developed out of some of those thunderstorms. Not going to be the case on Friday. So again, isolated thunderstorms initially in the afternoon, then by 4 o'clock, 5 even, most of the storm activity is going to move much closer to the I-75 corridor and out towards the Gulf Coast. So by sunset Friday night, although we still could see maybe a few isolated showers still come on shore here from the overall circulation just off to our east, it does look like most of us will stay dry for any of those firework displays you're heading out to. Whether you're in downtown Jax Beach, wherever you're going to be at, most of the storms, if not just rain showers at that point, will either have completely dissipated or, you might just have a few sprinkles move in from offshore there Friday night. But generally speaking, looking pretty good. Will those still be quite warm and muggy? Temperatures going to be in the low 80s, upper 70s, still feeling like the mid 80s there for your Friday night. And then the rest of your 4th of July holiday weekend here, we're going to still stick with those rain chances and thunderstorm chances in that 60% to 65% range through your Saturday and Sunday. Also take note, I mentioned the northeast winds on Friday. That will continue and actually ramp up a little bit by your Saturday. Gusts out at the beaches especially could push closer to 25, maybe even 30 miles per hour, I think at the very most. So a little bit breezier of a day. Could also lower our temperatures a bit down into the upper 80s for both your Saturday and Sunday. But we're still going to keep the storm chances in the forecast. Some mid-level moisture still going to swing on in from that potential tropical system that could develop. So either way, we're still, anticipating some more storm and rainfall coverage as you head into your Saturday and your Sunday. But I mentioned the temperatures for the weekend, upper 80s. Dew points, though, still going to be quite high, a still very tropical-like air mass in place at the surface. So although you might walk outside and be like, oh, it's fine, air temperatures 87, 88 degrees, it's not that hot. Well, really, when you factor in the humidity, especially by the end of the weekend and into early next week, man, I mean, we're still going to be feeling like the triple digits. So real field temperatures still anywhere from about 10 to 12 degrees above what the actual air temperature is going to be like there through the weekend and into the start of next week. But could, again, we see, something develop here? I think it's more and more likely that at least a very weak low pressure system can certainly form along the stationary front that we're expected to have draped across central Florida. But models are starting to become a little bit more in line with the overall movement. Will either just kind of meander around off to our east, or will eventually track off to our northeast, much closer to the Charleston area, Wilmington, and those North Carolina beaches. So here's another way to look at it. I mentioned, the uptick in some thunderstorm chances and enhancement of those storms on Saturday and Sunday. This brings a lot of that mid-level moisture swinging back around towards the first coast for both your Saturday and your Sunday afternoon. So enjoy any dry time while you can, because it still could be a pretty soggy holiday weekend here across the first coast. So if you do have any outdoor plans, which I'm sure you more than likely do, beach day, boat day, pool day even, just have some backup plans in place. Keep a watchful eye to the sky in case some of those thunderstorms do roll through, especially when you start hearing the thunder roar and the lightning crack down toward you. But overall rain totals that we could potentially see, I think most of us average out to about 1 to 2 inches around the first coast. Certainly could see some locally higher totals of about 3 to 4 inches by the time Sunday evening rolls around, but this more than likely won't be a complete soaker for everyone. Much more localized heavy rainfall for a lot of folks. So to kind of just wrap it up here for you and package it up for your holiday weekend, weather impact alert for your Thursday, especially between the hours of 2 and 8 p.m. Very similar story to what we saw here today. Scattered to, if not numerous thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, localized flooding, frequent lightning, all going to be on the table for some of those storms tomorrow, plus the potential for some gusty winds. As I had said at the top of here, slightly better chance for some stronger storms tomorrow than what we had here today. And then your 4th of July on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, anywhere from a 60 to perhaps a 70% coverage for some rain and storms. Looking good for those Friday night fireworks on the 4th of July. And then as we head into the next portion of, or next week, I should say, temperatures low to mid 90s. So we do rebound rather quickly here. So enjoy the cool down as well with temperatures in the upper 80s.